All right, so we're joined from the Yellow Rose of East Texas in Tyler, Texas, by my friend Dr. Kimberly Hardy. We thank you so much for joining us, the former SGA president of the Jackson State University. This is our business law class. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. We're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Rosa Scott, Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for taking some time for us today.
Right. Well, welcome everyone. Just want to give a major shout out to General Pygott. I thank you so much for this invitation, allowing me to come and share, and also to everyone who's listening, all the students. You guys are doing such a great job just getting through what is going on right now. You made it through the pandemic, you made it through lots of changes. And so I just want to say that you guys are super resilient as students, and I'm really proud and very, very humble and honored to be with you today. So my name is Kimberly Hardy, as General Pygott said. I can't stop calling you that because that's what's stuck in my head. And you're doing great things, leading the fight for educational justice and all the good things. So really excited again to be here with you guys. So I am an educator and an entrepreneur. I have served in K-12 education for about 12 years as a teacher, but about 20, almost 23 years in some capacity. And right now, I serve as a core faculty member, as a professor at Antioch University. It's a fully online university. And so that's been a really cool experience. But today, I just kind of want to share with you all, excuse me, some of the things that I've done through the years. And I'm hoping that you will see some of the things and say, okay, that's what she did. Let me see what I can do in terms of thinking through what you're doing right now. And I do want to say that everything that you're doing is setting this foundation for where you will be. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very, very real. It's real. And Greg, you know how it is in terms of setting this foundation and the students being able to build on that foundation as they go on. So you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to show this PowerPoint and it's just not moving for me. So please forgive me.
Oh, you're
Um,
good.
okay. All right. Well, the next thing that I just want to talk about is my schooling. So, when I left from John Tyler High School, which is now Tyler High in Tyler, Texas, I didn't know anything about historically Black colleges or universities. As a matter of fact, my senior year was that fall semester was just this firestorm of doing applications. And back then, guys, there were not online applications. So I was getting paper applications in the mail and ferociously filling them out, writing. And my choir director at the time, she is the one who said, don't worry, just apply to Jackson State University. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know where it was. And so she would tell me about her experiences as an undergrad at Jackson State, and I just was blown away. So I have a twin sister. And so my twin and I decided that we were going to basically go to school together. And that's what our parents wanted. Our parents were like, y'all need to stick together, stay together, so that you all can just be together, right? And have the experience of being together and not being separated, right? And of course, I guess when you're parents of twins, that's what you want. I don't know. But this is us, our senior year at Jackson State. She was Miss Jackson State University. I don't know if there are any girls in the house right now or guys, actually. So now we've got a Mr. Jackson State and a Miss Jackson State. On HBCU campuses, this Mr. and Miss combo really do represent the student body. And then I was the SGA president. So I also represented the student body. And participating in student government, participating in academic decathlon, participating as a member of even fraternities and sororities. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. These are the things that build that foundation for a great network of people that you know, as well as they build your confidence, your ability to speak. I had to fly to different football games. That's a part of the duty. When we were at school, we went to all of the games, right? And so we had to represent the student body at the games. We also had to represent the student body on committees at the university. I remember choosing the football coach. And of course, I didn't know anything about football, but it was a great experience of thinking about how to advocate for the people that are, that you're responsible for. So I know that some of you in this room have already been exercising your leadership abilities. Keep doing that. So when I was in high school, and also in college, I focused a lot on theater and choir, and then also learned Spanish, right? So these were things that were really important to me. They were my hobbies, but they were also things that built the foundation for what I would later do. As I said, I worked as a K-12 teacher. I've taught theater, I've taught performing arts, I've taught Spanish, I've taught math, I've taught a lot of things. But basically, though, these things grew out of what I was doing in middle school and high school. So I want you to take this seriously. The other thing that I want to share with you guys is that you want to focus on your goals, okay? Focus on your goals. And I say that because I had significant adults in my life tell me, you can't do that. Don't do that. You need to focus on something else. And it literally threw me off of my plan, my goal. I'm telling you, if you are investing time, energy, effort, and work ethic and what you love, there is no limit to what you can do. So even though adults may say, you can't do that, they're not talking about your experience. They're talking about their own experience, right? Well, you can't excel at that. That's their own limits. But I'm telling you, your work ethic, the time you invest, the willingness to take feedback from others and implement that feedback, there is no limit to what you can do, especially in the world that we're existing in today. You guys, I use the AI to develop this presentation because I'm not good at developing presentations. You can use AI not to write your papers for you, but to basically refine and polish what you do. You've got social media, guys. We didn't have any social media back in the day. Facebook did not come out until I was in graduate school. So you just have a lot of different things. And Instagram, I didn't even know what that was, right? But now you have options in terms of using technology for your benefit. The main thing I want you to remember is your work ethic, the time that you put in, and your willingness to accept feedback and learn from others. Those are the things that are really, really important. The next thing is I want you to cultivate resilience. You've already been resilient. You've already been resilient. The fact that you are existing right now proves that you are resilient, right? You may have had significant adults completely disappoint you. You may have dealt with the death of a loved one. That proves the fact that you are here after enduring those really tough things proves that you've got the ability to bounce back from whatever comes your way. I'm going to share something with you guys that I've not shared with a lot of people, particularly high school students, middle school students. But for me, one of the things that I had to come back from was a mental health diagnosis in graduate school. And it was one of the things where I got super duper duper sick and I did not know what was going on. And the last point about supportive people was so vital at this time because I thought if I just keep working harder, that my problems would go away. Just work harder, just do more, just work harder. And that just wasn't the case. I needed supportive people in my life to say, hey, you're not yourself. So let's go get you some help. And that's literally what happened. And at the time, I was just so devastated. I was like, I worked really hard in school. I'm nice to people. I pray. And then this happened. So you may have something like that that may come and may seem like it's going to knock your world out of orbit. But I want you to just know that you can come back from anything. You can come back from anything. And the fact, again, that you're here today proves that you've got the resilience. But you're going to need supportive people. I would say that many times we think that we're supposed to do it on our own. And if we don't do it on our own, we're not being legit or authentic or 100. But that's not true. Every person needs other people, and you will not get there alone, right? And one day you'll be able to help someone else get there. So you need your people, you need supportive people. So as I mentioned just a little bit about having the mental health diagnosis. Guys, I want you to be very intentional about your holistic health for your success. Your spiritual component is really important, right? And that has to do with what do you believe and what do you have faith for, right? For many of us, we're going to need to say affirmations to ourselves to overcome the negative stuff that's being thrown at us. That's a part of your spiritual health. Having a meditation or prayer practice, really important. But the other thing is your physical health, right? And sometimes we think, I'm good, I'm lifting weights, I'm eating my protein, and that's really great, but get your vitamins as well, get enough sleep, right? Your mental health. For many of us, in the South, or people of color or men, many of us don't think about our mental health until it's in a bad place, until you're feeling really, really angry or agitated all the time. But I want you to know that caring for your mental health means taking a step back and thinking about what you're thinking about how you're really feeling. And here's what I want to say to you. When you go to college or when you go to grad school, you will have an on campus mental health service center, and it will be
Yeah.
free to you. Use
Yep.
it. Greg, do you
Even
have
at the
anything
community
about that?
colleges, they, of all the cutbacks that have happened in higher education here in Mississippi, at the community colleges, at all the four-year institutions, there are free mental health services. My good friend, Dr. Deontay Benford at Tougaloo, they have their Student Success Center. All of that is free to use, and they're there for you to use. So, big or small, I encourage everyone to make use of that when you're on campus.
Yes, thank you so much for affirming that, Greg. I appreciate that. Yes, so we're standing together. Greg and Kim are standing together to tell you right now, make use of that. It is free to you. And here's the thing that a lot of people won't tell you is that in those early 20s, those 19, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, that is a time where your brain is doing a lot of stuff. Things that happened to you in childhood may pop up unexpected. As I said, mental health diagnoses are often made within those early 20s. So I want you to be proactive. Be proactive. Go over there, even if you don't feel like anything's wrong, and get you 3 different sessions and just talk to someone because everybody needs people to talk to. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll even say a good friend of mine over at Hines Community College in Raymond, Dion Walker. I got to plug her, and she's been on the channel as well. She gets so bored, she just wants to talk to somebody. So you could probably get a conversation out of her just because she's like me. She'll talk to anybody. So you may just say, "Hey, let me talk to Dion," and she'll talk to you about something. So even if it's something small, she could probably help you talk through some
Yeah.
things.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Having someone to talk to, absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. The last thing I want to say, guys, is about the social, positive relationships and connections. Now, I'm going to say this. This is something that people often don't talk about, but your romantic relationships have a huge impact on what happens in your life. Okay. I just want to say that. So when you're out there and you're dating people, I want you to think about people that are good for your soul. Do they encourage you? They may be handsome or cute or whatever, but do they encourage you? Do they encourage your dreams? And I want you to be very intentional about surrounding yourself with friends that are safe, friends that have your back, that are going to pour into you. And I want you to be intentional about being that kind of friend as well as that kind of dating partner, right? Because those social relationships are a big deal. As I said before, getting involved in things like fraternities and sororities, as well as other social organizations, are very, very vital for me. But they can also greatly benefit you by giving you a social network, as well as a sisterhood or a brotherhood that you can pour into and do good work with, do things like community service with them, and just enjoy life with people. Okay, so that's it. I just want you to make sure that you're taking care of your holistic health. Okay, so with this, I want you again, it right now, to embrace learning. Learn as much as you can. Look at YouTube videos about what you're interested in. Make sure that you're using your time wisely involved in your interests, okay? And finally, again, cultivate what you're interested in. If you like it, study it. If you love it, spend time doing it, right? And what I mean by that are the things that are of interest to you academically or career wise. Okay. All right. So finally, I'm not going to hold you. I want you to really invest in your education, not just like spending money on school or things like that, but buy books that are about what you're interested in. You want to be a leader? Read all about it, right? You are interested in a tech job? Look up as many YouTube videos as you can about it. You can get involved in link involved. You can become a part of LinkedIn and connect with people that are in the industry that you want or that you want to be in. And you can reach out to them in a private message saying, hey, my name is this, and I am interested in this academic or this career. Okay. Nurture your dreams, protect your dreams. If there are people who are naysayers, even if they're family members, you need to protect that, right? And you need to even protect it from your own mind. Do not let doubt and fear kill what is being planted in you because you're unique. Each person that's listening to me now, you are a unique individual that has been blessed with certain gifts, a special combination of gifts in your personality, your interests, your likes, and you're meant to bless the world with what you've got. And so I definitely want you to invest in your education, nurture your dreams, prioritize your health, make great connections with the people around you. All right. Well, that's it for me. Thank you guys so
Well,
much.
well, you have a few things there that I wanted to mention because I have questions from them, but there's about
Yeah.
four things on there I thought were incredibly important. First of all, we got to give a plug to my man, Dr. Mark Henderson over at Jackson State, head of Mad
Yes.
Drama. And you talked about how you were involved in drama. And unfortunately, here at Velma Jackson, we don't have a drama program, but that's something that I think, even if you don't want to be an actor, because most of the people in Mad Drama are majoring in something else, the skills you learn to communicate, the skills you learn to be on stage, little simple things like being able to speak in front of people. Those are skills that you can learn while you're having a lot of fun in a student organization. I like that. And I can tell you just, to really plug that program, I went and saw Black Nativity a few years ago and I was blown away. Like it is phenomenal the work they're doing over there. And that's a great organization that people, that kids could get involved in Jackson State. And there's other similar programs at other colleges. So I'm a big fan of, look, most people are not going to be a professional actor, but getting those stage skills makes you more comfortable speaking. These kids, because look, when we get done here in a few minutes, they're going to have to present a presentation they've done. It's not to be mean, it's not to make them nervous, but that goes back to the communication skills that are so important in business, that are so important in life. Because you talked about building your network. I say it all the time, what you said. When you're in college, be in these student organizations. It's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So being able to sell things, being able to show that you're the best for a job, being able to show you have the best product, that is what sets people apart.
Yes. Wow, absolutely, absolutely, Greg. This is so true. And guys, just to tell you, Dr. Henderson and Mad Drama came to my high school in 2002. He is the reason that I chose Jackson State. So I got to Jackson State and I got involved in Mad Drama. And because of that, I developed the ability to speak, to do poetry, acting, writing. I was able to go to California, North Carolina, Georgia, all these places, right, with the organization. And so, just like General Pykett is saying, having fun, being invested, and surrounding yourself with a great community. Mad Drama is an excellent community at Jackson State, but not only that, they are known throughout the country. And so, having a network like that is so important, and it's fun. It is so much fun. Yeah. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much,
Now,
Greg.
now, something else you mentioned. Another friend of this class is a former Miss JSU, Nasa Lynch, who has been very open and very honest and transparent about her own mental health struggles. Now, she was Miss JSU during COVID, so she was the face of the university during a time that was unprecedented in world history, and she has straight up said, "Look, I decided to be public about this. I've been diagnosed with anxiety. This is something that you could face. There is not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean you're going to die. But there are ways that you can get through that, and you don't need to have a stigma on it because your grandparents said that you're not really anxious. So it really is such an important conversation to have. And I'm glad you mentioned the free resources, the community colleges, all the universities in Mississippi have those free resources.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, Greg. I did not know. That makes me so very proud of what's going on right now with our young people because I love that there's not a stigma. I love that they're reducing the stigma. I love that we are saying, hey, we just want everybody to be well. So yeah, thank you so much.
Now, before I get to their questions, I just think it's so important. I know we mentioned this because we talked about mad drama, but even if kids decide not to go to college, because there's a lot of great career fields now, and then even if they don't want to do the HBCU, oh, you mentioned uh, some of the programs you did. Last class I was talking about the great accounting program at Ole Miss, the agriculture program at Mississippi State. No matter where they want to go to school, we want everybody to have options. We want everybody to make the best decision for them. But being involved in things on campus, building the network, you have got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, being able to walk in a room and introduce yourself. Me and you, when we talked a few weeks on the phone or last week on the phone, you talked about you'd written books and a mistake that people make. They'll write a book and just sit there and expect people to buy it. You can have a great business idea. If you can't sell it, you're not going to make any money. You can have a 4.0 GPA. If you can't sell yourself, you'll never find a job. So you've got to be comfortable getting uncomfortable, speaking, selling, and communicating.
Amen to that, Greg. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're so right. It's very true. Practice being uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I love that. I love that. Thank you.
Well, I do have some questions from the students, and I like that they're thinking about this stuff because it's so important. I like this first one. This is Lucretia Harris. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, "How was your experience at a HBCU, and what was the main thing that made you want to attend there?"
Thank you so much for that question, Mr. Harris. So I my experience at Jackson State was nothing short of a magic carpet ride. It was absolutely amazing. It was so much more amazing than what I could have ever dreamed of. There's no way. I mean, it was absolutely amazing, so wonderful. So one of the things that I can tell you is part of the reason that made my experience at Jackson State so fantastic is I started working on becoming a great student as a ninth grader in high school. So when I applied to Jackson State, I got a full ride. Everything was paid for because of the work that I had done in high school. And that made life so much easier. So then, because everything was paid for, I didn't have to work a full time job while going to school. And because of that, I was able to get involved in student government. I was able to get involved in sorority. I was able to be involved in mad drama. And so I literally I did summer during the summer. I worked in Florida. During the summer, I did summer enrichment programs that were like helping me get ready for doctoral work. And so, my professors, what I can tell you, I have gone to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, which is a large, predominantly and historically white university, and a big one. And then I've also gone to LSU, which is also a huge, historically white, predominantly white institution. And then I've also gone to Trevecca Nazarene, which is a smaller religious school. And with all of these experiences, what I can say is that at my HBCU, I had professors that truly, truly cared and they knew me very well. The other thing that I noticed about going to an HBCU is that the professors were invested in a deep way in the well-being of students. And I had I had classmates. Some of them were at the top of their class in high school and they went on to do great things. Some of them were at the bottom of their class in high school and came to Jackson State and completely transformed because the people around them were investing in them so much. I remember one of my stories that I knew was a classmate that had actually come from Chicago, had been involved in gang violence, things like that. And so when he came to Jackson State, he was able to start his life over. And the professors around him and the great folks, Laura Jackson Stewart was our SG advisor, and she just invested so much in us. And so the professors and the student affairs professionals around were just so invested in everybody's well-being that people were able to make complete 180s and go on to be do amazing things, even if they had really rough backgrounds. And so with the HBCU experience, the other thing is it's really diverse. A lot of people think, oh, it's just a Black school. Everybody there is just Black and the same. That is not true. One thing about Jackson State is the graduate program has a lot of non-Black people in it from Mississippi and beyond. The undergraduate program, the undergraduate, studies there has a lot of international students, as well as all kinds of Black people. And when I say all kinds of Black people, you're talking about people from the Caribbean, people from West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, North Africa, right? People from all over the world are there. So it was also extremely diverse. And I learned about the diversity among people of color as I'd never really seen it. The other thing that I noticed was an emphasis on social justice and serving the community was really, really strong and powerful there. And so if you want to change the world, an HBCU is a really great place to learn to do that.
Yeah, and I always say, and I heard this from the president of Tougaloo a few years ago, historically black does not mean exclusively black. And it's ignorant to think that all black people are a monolith and the same mindset. And you really have, I think, this past year they had over 1,000 international students at Jackson State, and then you have Black Americans from all over the country that have come there for the HBCU experience. And also you talk about the professors knowing who you are, and I know they've heard this story before, but I always tell this because it's true. I went to high school, graduated with around 500 people, and I went to the University of Southern Mississippi, and I was in a class that was so big, and the professor didn't even try to know everybody. We literally had to turn our test in with our student ID, or we got a zero because she didn't know who anybody was. There was a guy in that class I had literally known my entire life, and I did not know he was in there until we were walking out on the last day. It is that easy to get lost in the shuffle. Now, that's not meant to scare anybody because Southern Miss was a great experience for me, but it really is a different type of environment.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's quite an experience. And you know what, guys? If you want that experience, go get it. Right. I've had the HBCU and the historically white or predominantly white institution experience, and they're just going to give you different things. They're just going to give you different things. Don't
Yeah,
be
because
afraid.
yeah, we both went to LSU, and we know LSU is like a whole nother city. And as much as I love LSU, talk about an easy place to get lost.
That is so real. That's real. That's real. Yeah. Thank you for
Uh,
that question.
yeah, that was a good one. I got time for just a few more. I like this one. This is Levon Johnson. He's a sophomore, and he asked, "What would be the best way for me to learn Spanish?"
Oh, Mr. Johnson, that is such a great question. Okay, so I learned Spanish, the traditional schooling way. I had the same Spanish teacher for all 4 years of high school. So she knew me so well. She knew what I did know, what I didn't know, what I could pronounce, what I couldn't pronounce. And so I honestly want you to take advantage of the free education that is high school and just make yourself take Spanish every single year and just tell your counselor, I want to take Spanish all 4 years. And that's a really great way to learn. The other thing that I've done is I've gone abroad. And I know you may be thinking, what, abroad? But I'm telling you, you can go to a place like Costa Rica for very inexpensive, right? You can tell your parents, look, mom and dad, that's what I want for my graduation present. I want to go to Costa Rica, right? So I went to Costa Rica. I used some Sky Miles for the flight. The flight was like maybe $300, right? And then I was able to go to an international school, or language school rather, a language school. That's what it's called. And the language school will included in the price are the language courses that happen every day. also some excursions, like you'll be able to go up into the mountains and see cool stuff. And also they'll put you in a homestay where you will live with a Spanish speaking family during the time that you're there. And so that's what I did. And it cost me probably about $500, right? And it was worth every penny. And it was just such a great experience. So that's something you can do. The other thing is you get on Netflix and you put on watch some shows that are in Spanish. And if you need to, put on the subtitles and just listen to the language. Having Spanish speaking friends, really, really helpful. Also, you can listen to if you got a radio station that is in Spanish in your area, listen to it. Also, if you love, say for example, you love Beyonce, right? Mr. Johnson, you probably don't love Beyonce, but if
He's
you,
shaking his
whatever,
head. He said no.
no, right? You say, right? There is some music that you really love. I guarantee you that if you look up the lyrics of your favorite song, look them up in Spanish and compare the English and Spanish together, you'll pick up some words that you didn't know. Okay. One of the things that also helps is if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend that is a Spanish speaker, because you love that person or you're interested in that person, learning from them is going to help your brain. It's going to help the stuff stick even more because you're like interested in them, and so your brain is like, give me more, right? So when they're teaching you new words, you're more than likely going to remember them. So again, take Spanish in high school, study the words, study your words. Um, Consider going to a language school, and there are even language schools here in the States that you could go to. And then also watch TV in Spanish and listen to music in Spanish. And then the other thing is there are online platforms like Duolingo that is free, that you can just practice every day, make yourself practice 10 minutes a day on your phone, and that will help you learn some new things.
Yeah, and I agree with the TV. A great show to watch in Spanish is Money Heist. Yeah,
Hmm.
so the original audio of that show is in Spanish, and it is one of my favorite shows. So it's a really cool way. So I agree on that. All right, I got time for one more. This is Edward Flowers. He's in 10th grade. He's a member of our band, and he asked, "What advice would you give someone that wanted to be an entrepreneur but held back by insecurities?"
Oh, this is such a good question. Oh my gosh, Mr. Flowers. This is such a great question. I want you to remember, and all of you remember that there's something that is special about you. There's something special and about the gifts that you have and the ideas that you have. There will be no one else like you in the world ever. Not since, not before. And so that part right there, you've got to remember that you were meant to give something great to this world. And that discomfort of the fear or the doubt, that is the battle. You fight through that to give what you're supposed to give, but also to get what you're supposed to get. What if you thought about, you know what? I can either let this doubt and fear and insecurity stop me, or I can let this insecurity drive me, right? Often we are insecure because we don't know. But you can say, okay, every time I feel this insecurity, I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to go on YouTube and play a video to learn a new skill. So, for example, I think I told you all that I'm a book coach, and I literally learned how to do all of that stuff on my own. So I said to myself, and I think the short of it is you make demands on your creativity rather than saying I don't know how to or I can't da 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 da. Ask yourself, how can I? Right? How can I? And that makes a demand on your creativity, right? So when you feel insecure, go learn something new. When you feel insecure, go watch a YouTube video about the thing that you love. And if you have to watch it 3 times, watch it 3 times, right? Little trade-offs. For example, if you are like, I love this show on Netflix, right? Make yourself watch a YouTube video about the entrepreneur industry that you want to be in before you watch your Netflix, right? Tell yourself for this week, I'm going to spend 10 minutes just reading an article on the internet or watching a video about the entrepreneur industry that I'm interested in. Turn your insecurities into the fuel to learn something new. And if you keep doing that, you will become the expert. You will be the expert so much that your insecurities will go away. Okay?
Love it. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us. But a couple things before we go. First of all, tell us where we can buy your books because I know you've written several.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, you can actually go on to Amazon and Kimberly and Net Hardy, Annette is where I am on Amazon. I mean, excuse me, is where you can find books. I've done coloring books, as well as devotionals and also anthologies where I work with groups of people to help them write the book together. So yeah, all of that's out there on Amazon, Kimberly and Net Hardy.
Awesome. Now, the last thing before we go, and you mentioned this in your presentation about finding a good group around you. And this is one that is very important to me because too many young men and women are getting locked up because they got involved with the wrong people. It's not that
Yes.
they're bad or that they're evil. They were so impressioned by bad influences, so influenced by street life, so influenced by TikTok, so influenced by fake celebrities that glorified a certain lifestyle. There are way too many young people dying in the streets of Jackson and other areas just because they made bad decisions and were so influenced by peer pressure that it's just ruined so many families. It's ruined so many people with so much talent and so much intelligence. And and I'm glad you mentioned that because I cannot stress that enough. And I say this all the time. And you've talked about it a little bit as well. These kids they'll sit there and watch TikTok for hours upon hours with guys throwing up prop money and saying they bought all this fancy stuff when all they did was rent an Airbnb and glorifying the gangster and criminal lifestyle when there is so much opportunity more now than ever for all these kids to be successful. So, how can these kids overcome that as they start to transition out of high school?
Mm, wow. Yeah, you guys, I have to admit that you guys are up against a lot. You are. The good thing, though, is you can find mentors outside of where you are. Your teachers are a lifeline. They're a lifeline because your teachers have access to something outside of what is here. So attaching to the adults around you like that, and just picking their brain and literally building a positive relationship with them, is really important. Guys, I'm going to tell you that there's something inside of all of us that's like intuition, a gut feeling, right? And I guarantee you that when you're around someone that you're not really supposed to be around and it makes you feel unsafe, you feel something. And if you ignore it, eventually there's a price to pay for that. So when you feel this person really isn't safe for me, this girlfriend that I have, she really doesn't have my back, right? You need to listen to that. And it may be hard in the moment, but talk to your teachers, your counselor, folks about that kind of stuff if it is hard for you. The other thing is you got to get a vision beyond what you can see. The people around you. If your parents are not who you want to be like, and you don't have to tell them that, but if you know in your mind, this is not what I want, you get a vision for what you want. You want to have a family. You want to have a beautiful home and those kind of things. Think about that kind of stuff. And just know that with the investment of time, the investment of your work ethic, you can get there. But you got to decide what you want. You really do have to decide. And you have to decide, I want it more than the good feeling of being liked by these people. I want it more than being comfortable with what I've always known. Okay? Anything you want, you literally can have. But you've got to think through, what do I really want? And am I willing to sacrifice what feels good now for later? It's just the way it is. Yep.
There you go. Well, again, we thank you so much for joining us and especially filling in towards the last minute for us. But Dr. Kimberly Hardy, all the way from Tyler, Texas, we thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pygett. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you guys for your questions.
I talk to you, buddy.